caucus meeting, as you can imagine, with a lot of priorities that are in front of us to undertake on behalf of the American people. We are, of course, committed to getting over the finish line President Biden's Build Back Better agenda, which involves both the bipartisan infrastructure agreement, so we can fix our crumbling bridges, roads, tunnels, airports, mass transportation system, and also invest in making sure that every single American has access to high-speed internet, particularly as we've seen during COVID, because of the need to be able to work online or be educated online, receive health care online, communicate with your families and loved ones online. We have the bipartisan infrastructure agreement moving on a parallel track with the Build Back Better Act, which we are committed to getting done in the next few weeks. Why? Because President Biden promised that we were not going back to pre-pandemic normal. We were going to build back better because prior to the pandemic, so many everyday Americans were struggling. Half the American people reported that they couldn't afford a sudden, unexpected $400 expense. In America, the wealthiest country in the history of the world. So the president laid out a clear agenda related to the jobs plan, the families plan, that's coming together in the context of the Build Back Better Act, creating millions of good-paying jobs, cutting taxes for working families and middle-class families through the child tax credit, and making historic investments in home care, in health care, in child care, in elder care, in the caring economy, so we can lower health care costs for everyday Americans, lower child care costs for everyday Americans, and lower the cost of housing for everyday Americans by making historic investments at the federal level in the creation and preservation of affordable housing. We also, of course, will pass the National Defense Authorization Act to make sure that we fully fund the men and women who are serving in our military and can keep America safe in an increasingly dangerous world. Later on this week, we will pass legislation sponsored by Judy Chu, the Women's Healthcare Protection Act, to make it clear that women across America should have the freedom to make their own reproductive health care decisions. Shouldn't be determined by a bunch of yahoos in Texas and a negligent Supreme Court. And then finally, we will move forward with legislation being carried by Chairwoman Rosa DeLauro to make sure that we fully fund the government, avoid a reckless shutdown, provide for the health, the safety, and the well-being of the American people by providing for public education and public health and public transportation, public housing, public works projects, all of which are funded by the Congress. In that legislation, we will also address the emergency needs that have resulted from the extreme weather events that we have seen all across the country, most recently as a result of the devastation brought by Hurricane Ida. And we will make sure that the full faith and credit of the United States of America is protected and preserved. The House will not allow the United States government to default on its obligations for the first time in American history. It is our hope that Senate Republicans will also do the right thing and stop playing politics around the debt limit. I now yield to our distinguished Vice Chair, Pete Aguilar.